Hello everybody and welcome to my channel, The Real Super Sam. Today is our top 5 best stories list and I hope you enjoy. Juggernaut is one of Marvel Comics' strongest characters. Stepbrother of Professor X, he fights the X-Men multiple times, being with Magneto's Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. Kane Marco, the unstoppable Juggernaut, is easy to take as a one-trick pony, a big, strong bad guy, but believe me, he has so much interesting facts and experiences that make him tons more. Being the stepbrother of Professor X, someone who doesn't give up, Kane Marco has done some good throughout the years and worked with the X-Men, even if at first he was pure evil. If you didn't know, Juggernaut is not even a mutant. He got his power from the Crimson Gem of Cyttorak. When he touched it, he became a human Juggernaut. The greatest thing about this foe is his humanity. With Juggernaut 101 out of the way, here are his top 5 best stories. Number 5, This World Is Mine. Thor issue 429 has the second battle between the God of Thunder and the Juggernaut. The Juggernaut has defeated Thor and his allies and has taken over a kingdom. But Thor does break out and now has to get through to Juggernaut. This issue gets on the list because of the way Juggernaut is written. He is funny, selfish, and loves to talk crap while fighting. The battle is one of the most unique. Thor actually is able to knock down the Juggernaut's personal force field, and he hits him so hard his helmet gets wrecked. There is a moment where one Marvel question gets answered. Juggernaut cannot pick up Thor's hammer, Mjolnir. And at the end, Juggernaut gets carried into space by Mjolnir and left to survive on an asteroid rock. This one page is everything to know of why I love this story when Thor versus the Juggernaut. Number 4, Beware the Juggernaut, my son. Juggernaut's second appearance in X-Men issues 32 and 33. This, in my opinion, is the best story to read to know the basics with Juggernaut and the X-Men. Kane Marco, the Juggernaut, is in the basement of the X-Mansion. Tonight, while the X-Men are partying, Professor X goes into a secret room where Juggernaut is held up. He is in comatose, but Charles Xavier is going to wake him up. Something goes wrong, and Juggernaut is more powerful than suspected. The machine blows up, injuring Professor X and waking up the Juggernaut. Juggernaut comes back to his senses and sees his stepbrother on the floor, but he doesn't care. He puts on his helmet again to protect himself from mental blocks and starts a trap for the X-Men. Soon enough, the X-Men are face to face with their toughest foe once again. And while they are fighting, Juggernaut hears a voice inside his head, which he goes to investigate. The Juggernaut is crashing through the countryside on his way to find an aircraft to fly to Europe so he can join Factor 3, but that never happens. We learn a lot about the Ruby of Cyttorak. The Outcast is a demon who lives in the Ruby after being banished there, and that's how the Juggernaut gets his powers, from that demon. The second part of the story has a guest appearance by Doctor Strange. Juggernaut at the end grabs the Ruby of Cyttorak, which starts turning Juggernaut light red, causing him to disappear. This is a great X-Men story because of the relationship between the X-Men and Juggernaut, not to mention Professor X and Juggernaut. This story has other moments where Juggernaut's character is explored and his writing is very fun. Number 3, Nothing Can Stop the Juggernaut to Fight the Unbeatable Foe. This very iconic Spider-Man story, Amazing Spider-Man issues 229 and 230, has Spider-Man battle with all of his strength just to survive the arrival of the Juggernaut. The story starts with Madam Web, and she has a vision of Spider-Man coming to her aid against a huge foe but getting defeated. Black Tom Cassidy and his best friend the Juggernaut are going to kidnap Madam Web to give Juggernaut mind powers to become unstoppable to the X-Men. Spider-Man sees that one man is causing destruction whenever he goes, and he launches himself onto his back, and the Force sends Spidey himself back up over to a rooftop, and Juggernaut didn't even feel it. So Spider-Man personally introduces himself to the unstoppable Juggernaut, and Spider-Man tries to slow him down. This is the number 1 most known Juggernaut story. This is also the story that shows him at his most powerful. It is so creative, it is super crazy with the action. Spider-Man and Juggernaut are perfectly in character throughout the whole thing, and the plot makes sense during this time in each of their lives. And yes, at the end, someone can't stop the Juggernaut, the Amazing Spider-Man, and it is in the most creative, powerful, inner strength way that only Spider-Man could do. He drowns, so to say, the Juggernaut in wet cement. And Kane Marco is cold as stone. He basically breaks Madam Web almost to death in front of Spider-Man, then just drops her on the ground and leaves. This story showed the strength of Juggernaut and Spider-Man. There was a moment when everyone thought Juggernaut died, but he walked it off like it was nothing. Yes, I too view this as more of a Spider-Man story than one for Juggernaut, but this story introduced many to the Juggernaut character, and they did it very well. Once again, one part of a Juggernaut story can tell you all I love about it. I say, this is one of the greatest Marvel stories ever. It has the best of the best with the threat of Juggernaut. Number 2. Jagannátha. X-Men Legacy Issue 219 is the best comic that shows the relationship between Charles Xavier and Kane Marco. Professor X and Kane Marco are at a bar together as Juggernaut holds the other bar patrons as hostages. Kane Marco has had Charles Xavier come here just to talk to him. In this issue, we see how the Juggernaut thinks about himself and all the other characters in his life. It is very interesting and entertaining to watch. He also talks about the memorable, important moments throughout his history, like being defeated by Thor and Spider-Man. It is revealed at the end Juggernaut never really took over a bar and held hostages, but it was all Charles Xavier who put the situation in Kane's mind to understand him better. It changed the way I saw Juggernaut. He just does as he pleases, but when he does good, he is happy about it and still appreciates those hero moments. The situations in life he has chosen has just dragged him back into villainy. The way Juggernaut thinks and talks is smart, which could be surprising to some because of him being really buff. For Professor X, this was another great moment for him. He never gives up hope, especially for his stepbrother. Ultimately, it was just Professor X and the Juggernaut talking to each other, but each character's history was important to the story's interaction that showed the very best parts of each character. This had everything surrounding the character of the Juggernaut put into one single great X-Men issue. And number 1, Unredeemed. New Excalibur issues 13 through 15, the Juggernaut story that was his deepest and explored Kane Marco in new, unique ways. It starts with the Juggernaut dealing with the Wrecking Crew, except without his armor, and he gets beaten up. Afterwards, Kane Marco leaves, missing being the Juggernaut. He goes to where his best friend, Black Tom Cassidy, is being held, and he tells Kane that neither of them can ever be truly redeemed of their past bad things they've done. Kane Marco gets in his armor once again and heads to the cave where he got the ruby of Cyttorak. The demon questions Kane of if he knows what he's doing and tells him the ruby will solve his problems. He says yes to give him it must earn it this time. The demon Cyttorak says Kane Marco has become weak since his Juggernaut origin story. Juggernaut fights a darker looking version of himself and brutally kills him, fighting just like he used to, before he was a hero with Excalibur. From Cyttorak, Kane learns his stepbrother was supposed to be the Juggernaut, not him. It shakes up his origin story in a good way, makes Kane Marco seem even more like a nobody. At the end, Juggernaut decides to figure out his future by himself. After everything that has just happened, should he use the gem? Is he really destined to be a villain? This is a great challenge to see any supervillain go through, but Kane Marco is one of those supervillains. Well, this story just fits into his life perfectly. We can easily understand why he is doing things in this story and wonder the exact same thing as he is wondering. At the end of it all, Juggernaut is a cool rogue who deserves some real good in his life. He just doesn't want to give it to him. Sometimes, life sucks that way. Those were the 5 greatest Juggernaut stories of all time. Yes, they were all the original classic looking and thinking Juggernaut. This is just how iconic and simply simple the character has always been. Only a team of heroes have a chance against a Juggernaut, usually. He has so much power and literally nothing can hurt him. But sometimes that's good. He has shown to be able to be the gentle giant character and have a heart. He has such a unique, expressive, and powerful history that every Marvel Comics fan has heard about him. Hopefully, we will see much more of him in the future. Those were, once again, my list of the top 5 best Juggernaut stories. Please comment your thoughts down below. Bye guys, and have a great day.